Starting today, those without passports or military identification may have a harder time going through airport security. Today is the start of TSA requiring real ID on travel identification for anyone traveling around the United States. After 20 years with several delays, the congressional mandated real ID guidelines go into effect. Many will have to be real ID compliant in order to travel throughout the country without having to take any additional security measures. We spoke with travelers at the Alexandria International Airport, AEX, asked them what they thought about the real ID requirement.
I don't mind the real ID. I understand the reasoning for it. I just think that if you have a passport or you've already done the TSA pre-check, I don't think that it should require you to have a real ID. You're already in their system.
The head of Homeland Security has stated that passengers are still able to board their flights without real ID. However, there will be additional security screenings before they can get on the plane. To avoid delays, TSA suggests that those who don't have real ID arrive at the airport earlier than usual.